not on the committee have waved on. I appreciate the chairman allowing me the opportunity. I represent Fort Worth and Dallas. As a matter of fact, Nicole Collier, who is one of the witnesses here, representative, she is my neighbor and my state representative, and I appreciate her presence here today. And I just want to really thank my colleagues, my former colleagues in the state legislature, and my friends, current state legislators, for really being courageous to take the time to be here. I know that all of y'all are from different types of different districts and have different sort of political challenges, and the fact that you took the time to come here to stand up for voting rights in this country really means a lot. And that was one of the reasons why I started the Congressional Voting Rights Caucus. I'm the chair of the Congressional Voting Rights Caucus here in the U.S. House of Representatives, and started it because from my time in the state legislature, I knew that we were going to have some troubled times just because of a lot of the pretty blatant voter suppression attempts that I saw when I was in the legislature, including a group called the King Street Patriots that came to testify that people should be allowed to record people with cell phones while they vote. Just absolutely, ridiculous that we are still having to live that way. And I wanted to ask, I don't know if, I think Representative Clardy is still on. There has been a lot of talk and discussion about these rules and the fact that these brave Texans have broken quorum to come here. Before, because Representative Clardy and I did not overlap in the State House. I think we missed each other by one session. Before I got there, then Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst said that redistricting and voter ID were so important that they were going to break the rules and change them, the two-thirds rule in the Senate, the filibuster rule, the same thing that we're grappling with right now in the U.S. Senate, that they were going to change the rules instead of working with the other side so they could get the votes needed to pass redistricting and to pass voter ID. I wanted to ask Representative Clardy, was he okay with the Republicans breaking the rules at that point?
Yeah, I'm still here, Congressman Veasey. It's good to see you again. So to that point, one, I don't believe that was Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst.
It was Dewhurst, but it was when I was there. It was Dewhurst, and then Patrick took over, and he permanently changed the filibuster rules. So were you okay with it then?
That was I wasn't in office then, and frankly, I was a fan then and a fan now of the two-thirds rule. So.
But are you okay to break it? Were you okay breaking? Because right now we wouldn't even be having these problems if the two-thirds rule was still in place. So they're using the only tools that were available for them at the time.
May I answer the question? Again, before my time, but as you described it, it sounds like to me that Dewhurst, and this is in the other chamber that you and I didn't serve in, that they avail themselves of their rules to change their rules, which we do every session. We adopt in the House our rules. We can modify or change them, keep them the same. So they did act under the color and under the letter of their law, if that's what was done.
So you were okay with them changing the rules for their means, but you have a problem with what Representative Thompson and the other Democratic state legislators do. And I just don't get the double standard. I wanted to ask Ms. Thompson.
I'm in favor of them following the rules, and part of the rules allow you to modify or change the rules.
They're following the rules right now. Thank you.
What it does allow you to do is leave the state in abrogation of your Constitution.
Thank you, Representative Clardy. Thank you. I wanted to ask Representative Thompson something. I'm going to go off script for my remarks here, and I wanted to ask you this in closing. I don't know if you've seen the movie Birth of a Nation or not. It's a terrible movie, and one of the things that we have a hard time explaining to some of our white colleagues here is how racism is normalized. We're having this big debate right now over critical race theory and things like that about how racism is normalized in society. And you have to see this movie to understand how people that were liberal and conservative back during that time period, our colleagues' grandparents and their great-grandparents believed these crazy stories and tales about black people committing voter fraud. And we're starting to hear these same stories and these same tales today. As a matter of fact, Ms. Thompson, you had one of your colleagues in the State House that had a map that was showing here's where the voter fraud takes place. I don't know if you remember seeing that video. He was saying, here's where the voter fraud takes place. And he was pointing to black precincts, and there was absolutely zero evidence of any voter fraud that was taking place. It was pure stereotyping. When you see this sort of stereotyping in 2021, Ms. Thompson, because you've seen Jim Crow end and get to where we are now. When you see the same sort of racial stereotyping taking place today in 2021 that took place in a D.W. Griffith film in 1915, how does that make you feel?
The time of the gentleman's expired. Thank you to the gentleman from Dallas-Fort Worth, and the witness may answer the question.
It makes me feel like I'm not going to ever stop having to deal with the past and have to continue to keep fighting the past, and I can't progress further than the past. And my children will never get an opportunity, nor their children, to be able to live in society and be treated as an American and respected as American, and have an opportunity and a right to be able to have a voice in their democracy, a right that we all are guaranteed under the Constitution. And in addition thereto, to feel as though that they are real citizens of this country, the only country that they have been born in and they know about. That's how I feel.
Again, thank you.